Hey friends, good Monday to you. I want to jump on here and give you some encouragement, both on the practical side and the psychological side. And here is what I'm referring to. Let's first talk about the practical and get that out of the way because it's quite simple. I found this at Costco. They were 15 bucks. And you probably can buy them online too on Costco, but it's really nice. Look how nice quality this is. But it's one of those clamshell vegetable and fruit dicers. Great for onions and bell peppers and firm tomatoes, celery, things like that you spend a lot of time chopping up by hand. But basically you put the large food item on here, slam it down, and it dices it for you. It has a removable bin. It's got the cleaning, or the push portion comes out. You just lift this and that comes out for easy cleaning. And the blade, 2 different size blades, here's one of them. You just snap them in. If you want to have a diced a little bit smaller, the food dice a little smaller, you can, or about a 1/2 inch you can too. This part comes off, of course, for cleaning. It's got nice rubber at the bottom to keep it from sliding around on your counter. Can't say enough good about these. Comes with tools too for cleaning. A couple of brushes, a couple of picks. So for 15 bucks, I mean, you know it's not made in America, but nonetheless, it's a huge time saver, and it appears to be built pretty well too, pretty solid. So if you're looking for something to help with vegetable prep, because after all this time, you know as well as I do, if you've been doing this, that takes the longest. Vegetable prep is what takes the longest, cutting up. And some fruits, not all fruits, but some fruits. I mean, berries you don't have to do anything with, but wash them. But if you want to slice up apples or dice up apples to put in the breakfast hash, for instance, there you go. If you want to dice up butternut squash, there you go. And especially onions and mashing garlic and all those things that tend to work on our senses and so forth. So 15 bucks, Walmart, check online maybe. You maybe go to Costco.com and find it. So hopefully that's helpful. I love mine. I've already broken one and I'm on my second one. So they're a wonderful tool and a big time saver. Secondarily, let's talk about stress. Whew. Talk about being on one end of the spectrum compared to the other, right? We all have it. I have it. You know, sometimes it's when you least expect it. Sometimes it's from people that you least expect. So, you know, and we all have it. I'm not immune to it. You know, I had an incident recently, last month, with a family member who went on the offensive with me, and, you know, I defended myself, and it blew up into this terrible thing. And, you know, it happens to all of us, and I just felt like I was justified in defending myself and lashing back out. And at the end, when I reflected, I had all this stress and I realized nothing was solved. Nothing was better. It was worse. So, you know, sometimes you just have to measure yourself better. And I'm not perfect at it either. So in hindsight, I wished I would have just stopped it and walked away and approached it differently. I don't know if this family member feels the same way or not. It's irrelevant. I can't control that, which brings me to point number 2. Control what you can control. And if you can't control it, or you failed to control circumstances or situations or relationships or what have you, then you may want to pick a different plan, because that's the definition of insanity, right? When we want a different outcome, but we still beat our heads into the same wall over and over again, not getting any closer, right? So it happens to all of us. That's a leveled playing field. You know, at my stage of life, I just want peace, you know. My family members, particularly my mother, is in a place where she requires more now, and it's a stressor, right? You may have them in yours, you know. My sister, bless her heart, she's dealing with all of it. I'm 900 miles away. So, but, you know, it still has an emotional attachment to it. You don't like to see family members you love failing, and so you may have them in your home. You may be raising grandkids. You know, I see it all the time now. Grandparents raising grandkids because parents, they decided to stick around for the fun part, but they don't want to be there for the part that requires work, right? So, and a whole host of other circumstances. I'm not saying that's the only one, but there's other circumstances, obviously, that create family dynamics, family dysfunction, relationship dysfunction. And reason I'm bringing this all up is how this impacts us once we internalize that stress. That's what I'm talking about. Because for a lot of people, it can make you weight loss resistant. Did you hear me? Weight loss resistant. Because hidden in our bodies, beneath the surface, beneath the radar, we've got a hormone that mitigates our stress, and it's called cortisol. And if you keep your stress heightened, if you're still dabbling in things that stir you up, then your cortisol will stay heightened and you're not going to be in fat burning. Not going to happen. Physiologically won't happen. Okay? So doesn't mean you can't become adapted to it or used to it where it becomes second nature or old hat, as they say. But you're going to really struggle staying in fat burning just from the psychological side alone. So what's my recommendation? Seek peace, right? As much as you can. Sometimes you got to fight fire with fire and you got to defend yourself, right? Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to leave relationships alone. Toxic relationships that have never been really healthy, never been really joyful. You just have to leave them alone. You know, I don't know where I'm at with that, but that's crossed my mind. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do just to have peace in your life, because you're going to know deep down in your heart may tell you one thing, your head may tell you another, right? And that's just life. We have to navigate life the best we can while we're here. I'll tell you one thing, that the greatest change in my life is when I turned to God. I was 30 years old. I'd lived my life by myself, my way, my terms, 30 years, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. So, you know, when I was 30 and I decided to follow Christ, it didn't make life easy, but it made life easier, much easier. So look into it yourself. I'll talk to you about it, or find someone you feel led to talk about that type of area of peace, because I'll tell you, God's never let me down. The goodness of God has always been there, faithful, true. Truth is another thing today that's a rare commodity. You don't know who's telling the truth anymore. And not the case with the Lord. So can't say enough good about the spiritual side of our bodies, our balance there. You know, you've heard me mention before, we're spirit man, we're mental, emotional, and then we're physical. And those three are intertwined. You can't separate them. If you separate them, you're in real trouble. But if you blend them nicely and they're cohesive, then you're going to be at peace, you're going to be at better balance, and then you're going to be less likely to be weight loss resistant. Huge concept, huge concept. I saved most of this for class, right? Strategy, talking logistics, body physiology, organ physiology, biochemistry of the body, that type of thing. And sometimes we dive off into the psychological, sometimes the emotional, sometimes the spiritual. So it's very real. To deny it doesn't mean it's true, right? So some people, they just don't want to talk about faith. They don't want to talk about the spiritual side. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean it's only Hollywood. Couldn't be further from the truth. So it's as real today as it was 4,000 years ago. And it impacts us. It's part of us. It's part of who we are. It's our makeup. So we just go through life trying to navigate best we can and be as healthy in those three areas of our makeup as we can. And we're all in this together. I'm not set aside on some hilltop looking down in a valley. I'm there with you. Sometimes I'm on the hilltop, sometimes I'm in the valley. So, but I'm always striving to get back up to the hilltop, right? We all do that. And it's no different than this plan. But keep things simple, okay? Remember to keep things simple. And we can always address other areas you're struggling in once you've got a solid foundation. See, that's the key. So when I built my house, I'm about to build another house. Groundwork's got to be laid first. You got to have a solid footer and foundation. Then you build the house. Translate that concept over to our weight loss program. Works like a charm every time. So when you see me and I run your body composition and I say to you, ooh, I bet you got stress that's out of hand right now. I had a man this morning. He built muscle, excellent, but he stored fat. I'd say that's a sign of two things typically. You ready? Take a guess. I'll give you a moment. Take a guess. If you're building muscle and you're storing fat, here they are. The two most common possibilities are that your stress is high, and or you've introduced or reintroduced some refined carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates that are causing you to be in fat storage. Like in the evenings, I had a lady right before lunch today. She said, well, my biggest problem has always been that I snack before bedtime. She said, I do good during the day. I have a breakfast and I wait and I have my lunch and then I wait and have my supper. But after supper, all bets are off. And so she was testifying where her issues were, and she's still struggling some, but she went toward fruit. And I said, oh, don't go to fruit in the evening. If you're going to snack on anything, keep it in the guidelines on the protein and vegetable side. Don't go to fruit or don't go to fat. All right? Reserve fat for the morning to break your fast. All four food categories, actually, but fat's a good place to start in the morning. But she was going toward fruit in the evening, and that's no bueno. So I know I threw a lot at you today. I appreciate your attention. I hope these encouragements are helpful and impactful to you. Many times I just speak my heart and my mind. It's what I see a lot of times coming from the rooms, but either way, you're always welcome here. You're always welcome to class. You're always welcome to submit your questions. And maybe we'll do some of that too. Submit a question you want me to address on the weekly newsletter, or especially in the open forum class. I had a lady ask me, what will the topic of next class be? And I said, you know what? We might just do another open forum, because when you run an open forum class, all of the questions and topics are relevant to who's attending. So if I have a room full of women in the classroom, but I talk about how to maintain high testosterone levels, while it's a great topic, it wasn't as relevant for those people. So that's why I like open forum. So consider that. Consider the clamshell dicer. Other places sell them, other price points, other manufacturers, obviously. Just found that. It's a good nugget. Costco, $14.99. Can't go wrong there, right? Time saver. Enjoy the use of it. Tips and strategies, more are coming on the way. Read your newsletters. Watch out. Try other recipes. Cooler weather's coming, right? I look forward to that as well. But stay tuned. Make sure you take time to watch these and rewatch them. Pass them along to somebody who may need a little bit of encouragement. Find an accountability partner, even somebody that you maybe have met along the way, or you have met while being in office, and say, hey, you want to just kind of keep each other accountable in some form or fashion, or just encourage one another. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to be very successful too. So give it a try. God bless you. I'll see you in the next video.